My name is Caroline Swope, and I am the Historic Preservation Specialist for the City of Decatur. I work with historic buildings and helping maintain those buildings and places that have really special history. So I have some books that I'm particularly fond of, and one that I even read to my own son. This one is Through My Eyes, and it is the Ruby Bridges story. This is a true story of a little girl that in 1960 started to integrate the public school system. And I love this picture because it shows Ruby, and she's so tiny, and she's at this big school surrounded by federal marshals that are protecting her. And I often wonder, like, could you imagine if you had to go to school like this, if this was your experience going to school? So instead of getting little signs in your front yard, welcome to kindergarten, first day of school, we're so happy to have you, having to wade through all of this and sort of work through that. And there's even some really famous art associated with her and the integration of the schools. This is by Norman Rockwell. He's one of my favorite artists, and he sort of displays typically Americans at their best. But in this case, he really wanted to show that sometimes we needed to improve a little bit. And he did a really wonderful job of this image, which the image he did was in color, so you could probably get your parents to pull it up on the computer for you, and they'll probably show it for you. And there's Ruby, and she's so small, and she's cropped. You don't even see, she's so tiny compared to the marshals, you don't even see where their heads are. And you can see they've actually thrown tomatoes as she's sort of walking by, which is just, it's really sad, but it's a really good story about perseverance and a really difficult time in our history. And then another good story, either to have your parents read to you or if you're a little bit older, is The Watsons Go to Birmingham. It's funny. I believe about 2 years ago, Fantasy Playhouse Theater in Huntsville, the children's theater, they did a show with it. And I'll read you the back so that you know what this book covers. It's enter the hilarious world of 10-year-old Kenny, his family, the weird Watsons of Flint, Michigan. There's Mama, Dad, little sister Joetta, brother Byron, who's 13 and an official juvenile delinquent. When Mama and Dad decide it's time to visit Grandma, Dad comes home with the amazing Ultra Glide, and the Watsons set out on a trip like no other. They're headed south. They're going to Birmingham, Alabama, towards one of the darkest moments in American history. It is a fun book to read. It has, even though it covers some serious matter, and I love this section where they just get to Birmingham. So they're used to living in Michigan where it's quite cold because their family had moved up to Michigan for better job opportunities. But their relatives are still in Alabama, so they go back to Birmingham, and this is their first experience for the children with the intense heat we have in the summer because they don't experience that in Michigan. And so this paragraph really explains it. Birmingham was like an oven. The first night I couldn't sleep at all, and me and Bai had to share a bed, and we were both sweating like two pigs. It was so hot that Byron didn't even keep a sheet on top of himself to make sure I accidentally didn't touch him in the night. He finally slept on the floor because he said it was a little bit cooler. I don't know if you've ever had to sleep on the floor in the summer. I actually did sometimes as a child because I had a house with no air conditioning, so it would get really hot. And there was one summer I actually slept in the bathtub a couple nights trying to find a colder place to sleep. So this is just a really interesting book that sort of takes you back to a different era. And so it also has audio versions if you want to do that. And you could probably even find, since it's been in play form as well, there might be some productions online that you could stream to watch it in play form. And thank you so much. Enjoy the books.